Good morning, entrepreneurs. You are tuned into the Non-Corporate Network, the worldwide leader in entrepreneurship. You are tuned in to Entreprenews. My name is Chaz Vandemater.
Dustin Trout.
I'm joined by Dustin Trout.
I'm eager, man. I'm ready to get after it. That's how the show goes. One step ahead, you know?
Okay, yeah. Your reactionary comments back to me. You're tuned into Entreprenews is a show where we debate the top 6 trending small business headlines for 3 minutes each. Tell you a little bit about what's going on in the world of business and try to have fun doing it. So thank you for being here, whether you're watching us on Facebook or watching us or listening to us on the podcast. We appreciate you guys. It's not free to listen. You got to tell somebody about us, preferably an entrepreneur, another hustler out there, somebody trying to stay ahead of the curve, ahead of the trends. That's what we do here. With that, you want to talk about our first story there, Dustin?
Let's go ahead and dive in. So The Shift, it's a program from Fiverr that helps get small brick and mortar stores online quickly. So they've created a program that helps you build a website, run your digital marketing, and even implement e-commerce. Fiverr says it's the perfect solution for those businesses that need to make a dollar stretch farther, but also those freelancers who might have experienced some job loss recently. And so what Fiverr is, it's a marketplace that connects freelancers to businesses. You can get graphic designs, you can get voiceovers, there's quite a bit you can get, but this in particular is a virtual or digital transformation process essentially. And really, Chaz, my question is this a good option for small business or, there are other solutions out there that might make the dollar go further?
I think it lines up, right? It lines up, especially during the time. So, I applaud the PR department. I applaud the marketing department. The perfect solution for small business. Yeah, that doesn't sound sus at all. But, at the end of the day, I think that it can be a great offering. And I think, this gig economy is going to continue to grow. There's a lot more, like you said, freelancers out there. There's a lot of small businesses that are looking for a little bit more inexpensive way to transition their business into the modern way of doing business now in 2020. And so, I think overall it could be a great plan. I'm weary of the execution. I'm weary if this sounds too good to be true. I'm weary of the non-technical business founders that are not really, they don't understand how much it goes into coordinating a team to build technology for you. You have to have a roadmap and a plan. And so those are the things that I think are going to be a little bit more difficult for these business owners to grasp. You're still having to learn technology regardless if you're building your website or not. But, what do you think?
Yeah, overall, it's you kind of get what you pay for. Fiverr is really known for having non-US people working on stuff. And so, they're transparent. They let you know where the freelancer lives. But a lot of the times the communication back and forth is super difficult. And overall, granted, it could be cheaper from a financial perspective, but your overall investment in time is going to be a lot more. And so it comes down to understand the value of time. You can choose people in the United States, but then the prices go way up. And then at that point, it's why not find someone local or actually do some shopping. And so I do appreciate them bringing, more competition, more solutions to the marketplace. That I think is huge. But again, it's just knowing what you pay for. And don't go in there thinking, oh man, once I go through this, I'm going to be 100% digital. Things are going to be rocking and rolling. They're going to create the systems and tools and I'm not going to have to learn anything and it's going to be running on its own because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you made a good point about, it's either time or money. And so, I think that's going to be the big thing here. And also what percentage of these people are in the US on Fiverr? They talk about, the laid off workers, but it's it's hard to find people that are reasonably priced on Fiverr that are US based. So,
yep. So going on to our next story, and it kind of goes hand in hand, but new business applications continue to rise, especially in the South. So this is the second straight month that we've had increased new business applications, and this is done by LendingTree, and they're looking at the new creation of EIN numbers. There was an 84% growth in July when looking year over year. What's crazy is Louisiana saw a 240% increase year over year. That's 13,100 applications. compared to the previous year at 3,860. So that's huge.
Yep.
Really what they're attributing it to is people are saving a bit more from stimulus, unemployment, and all that, and there are no jobs being open. So with an influx of people sitting on cash and no jobs to really apply and go after, it's what's created the American dream. I mean, go create your own business. But I mean, really, did we just experience a horrible tornado that's going to lead to a huge influx of new business creation and entrepreneurship, or are we gonna see a huge wave of a lot of people out the gate, and maybe a couple months later, go back to jobs that might be opening up?
Yeah, I think you have people that go over and do the shift on Fiverr and they get all their stuff set up. It's always fun to start a business when you're getting your EIN number, getting your bank account set up, you get the name of the business and who gets the equity. It's like, oh, this is so exciting. And then you have to go get a customer and you realize that it's difficult, especially to keep them to stay. And so, I think that there's going to be, there's probably a lot more kind of hype around starting a business now. We'll see if some of that pans out. My big kind of crystal ball that I'm looking into is saying that the gig economy is going to grow tremendously. Maybe not businesses as in like 5 to 20 person businesses. I doubt we'll see as much of that as we'll see of a lot of people that are doing freelance work and maybe turning it into a solo business for themselves. So I think there's a lot more opportunity there. But yeah, I mean, we'll see once the honeymoon phase of the business is over and you're 3-4 months in and you got to actually start making some money. How gung-ho these people will still be.
Yeah, no, that's always once you get past those couple months and reality sinks in, it's a little bit of a different story. It's not as exciting and fun to wake up and the real grind begins. But I think even through this, I mean, granted, not 100% of, everyone that starts a business is going to flourish and turn into 100, 200, 500, person businesses. But I think there's going to be a lot of people that rise up from this, and it's going to bring on a wave of innovation and great solutions to the marketplace. I mean, looking back on economic downturns, 2008 created the most millionaires ever in any part of history. I think you were mentioning before this, what was it, Rockefeller? I mean, made most of his riches during a downturn. I think, whenever there's anything bad, it's always doom and gloom, but there's a lot of positivity that's going to happen from it. Yeah. And I can't wait to see what happens.
We'll see. I mean, I like the innovation that comes out of necessity. Yeah. Damon John, the power of broke. We'll see what happens. You got a lot of innovation when you ain't got money to spend. So
exactly. So bringing it back to Arizona on our third story. So Bottle Blonde and Casa over in Scottsdale were shut down for violating ADHS requirements for reopening. So really, they were ordered to close this last weekend. They were literally open for a few days. I don't even think a whole day before they got the shutdown. And so Ducey came in and said that their liquor license is suspended indefinitely. They don't have a date in which they can expect it, and they have to remain shut down. They were cited for not enforcing social distancing, no mask enforcement, dancing, standing, and exceeding table occupancy limits. And so literally every rule that you could break, they were breaking it, all in the name for revenue and profit. So, I mean, with this, did the ADHS go too far, or do you think they're taking the proper precautions to prevent the spread and doing right?
Come on, man. They are not taking the precautions at all. They broke every rule in the book of the first day. I mean, it's disappointing because I want to be going to these places. I want to be getting back to normalcy. I want to go get a bucket from Casa. I'm not going to be able to do any of that because day one, we can't follow the rules. I mean, we've already got enough bad press in Arizona when it comes to restaurants, nationwide press when it comes to restaurants. And, we've opened and shut them multiple times. We've made exceptions for restaurants now to open at 50% capacity. We've made a lot of loopholes for these businesses to open back up. And so what do you do when you get a chance to open back up after you're up in arms for months about trying to get your business back open? What do? You go in and break every rule in the book on the first day. In the first 3 hours you're open. Like, you have to expect somebody's going to be there to monitor the implementation. You have to expect somebody's going to be there to make sure that the policies are being followed. Like,
What way to kick it
blows
off
my
than a
mind, bro.
pre-COVID themed party? I mean, that's seems like that's what they were trying to achieve. But I mean, me personally, I think it's horrible what they're doing. You give them an inch, they're taking literally a mile. But I mean, cases are coming down. Give them a fat fine, and I guarantee it. You hit their pocketbooks. They're not going to do it again. At least you allow a business to remain open and people to be employed.
Suspending them indefinitely should be enough to have them not do it again. They already got shut down the first time. Like, you would have thought that slap in the rich was enough. Are we going to what does indefinitely mean? And their liquor license is gone like that. It's just, what more motivation do you need to implement these policies and do it right? Like, I don't understand.
Well, I guess that means, there's a ton of opportunity for surrounding bars, I guess. I mean, take advantage of the others being closed down. I
shake my head. I mean, it's tough. Everybody's trying to make money. We're trying to get back to it, but the rules are set.
Are you surprised that the ADHS actually came out to look?
No.
No.
There's been such a big deal. They're gonna go to the most popular places that have been trying to open up. And Casa in Bottle Blonde, to my knowledge, were some of the businesses that did a better job first go, as opposed to I think it was like Riot House and a few other bars out in Old Town that had like servers with COVID. Just follow the rules. Let's get back to normalcy. Follow the rules, man. Well, before we get into our next story, we want to mention that we are powered by State 48. We appreciate you guys. Love what you're doing. Really cool collabs. I gotta get in the room with some of these people that they're collaborating with. It's very cool stuff. But Dustin, you have anything you want to mention about State 48?
Yeah, no, clothing for all, inspired by Arizona. They're, as Chaz mentioned, they're doing a lot of collaborations, and a lot of them are, small business, big business, but they also do it with a lot of nonprofits, and a lot of the proceeds go back to that nonprofit and what they're going for. So, huge company. They're making great looking apparel, comfortable clothing, but also helping give back to the community. So make sure to check them out, state48.com.
Love your mission. Well, diving into our next story, Tesla in the news. They rolled out a software update to let its car's cameras see speed limit signs and read speed limit signs. It's also added a chime that will sound when the car is sitting idle at a green light. I think it's interesting innovation, Dustin, that's for sure. It's very cool stuff that they're doing. But again, this is kind of the Wild West. There's not a whole lot of regulation. They're innovating and just pushing stuff right off of the computer directly into hundreds of thousands of cars. And so we now have cars that are equipped to be able to read road signs, read text. I'm sure we're going to be able to start to read people's faces. We understand that when it's green versus when it's red. I just think this is a huge risk to not have any policy backing it. I think that, it's going to be another classic situation of the government doesn't realize what's going on until 2 years down the road when there's a huge breach or a big issue. And then all of a sudden now we need to make some rules and lose hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars creating legislation. And so I think this is a huge risk. What's your thought, Dustin?
You can't stifle innovation. It's tough. It's how do you have that forward thinking without stifling innovation too much? If you have to create this approval process before you get anything out, and all of a sudden it's like you can't get anything out. Every other country is rolling out technology quicker than us. So I hear you. It's a fine balance, but to me, it said that it's optional. So if someone doesn't want all that going on, then turn it off. But
it's optional. Dustin. I'm sure that's all. Sure, it's that easy. I don't know if you've ever seen iRobot, but I feel like that's kind of where we're trending right now.
Yeah, but if you're on a car lot or they're looking to buy a car, if this is something you don't want, then don't get this option, right?
Well, how much do we talk about like Alexa devices that are always listening, and it's just kind of an invasion of privacy, and it's not really something that comes in handy that they're listening to your entire conversation and transcribing it. That doesn't help me at all that a device is doing that. And so now it's like you can't get away from cameras. Whether you're in public, whether you're in private, wherever you are, there's speakers and cameras that are reading your every move, listening to your every conversation. And I think that this is George Orwell telling it like it is. 1984 becomes 2020 when there's no privacy whatsoever out there.
Yeah, I mean, we're quickly getting there. I mean, whether that's right, that's wrong. I mean, that's for everyone to debate. But yeah, I mean, it's all in the name of not innovation, but efficiency. And I mean, I'm playing with
convenience.
I'm playing with shortcuts right now, and my wife yells at me all the time whenever I forget to set the alarm.
Yep.
And I just found out that I can set up a little radius around my house, and as soon as I leave it, it sets the alarm. And all of that, it's to convenience me. But now they know exactly where I'm at. I allow my locations. I mean, it's going to take a catastrophic event to make a change, but I mean, because the consumers love it, it's going to continue.
It's tough because the name of convenience is not necessarily.
I can't wait until I can cruise around in one and it drives for me, and I can be able to work, and I don't have to drive and set of lights. But
I just look at the name of convenience versus the name of choice, and it's like we're eliminating our choices with convenience being what we're citing as the reason. Well, getting into our next story. We can't get enough of TikTok, man. They just keep coming. This is like a soap opera. This is like Days of Our Lives, TikTok edition. I love seeing these headlines, and it's just like every day I get up and it seems like there's a new development in this story. So first off, there was another bidder in the TikTok battle to compete with Microsoft and Walmart's bid, $20 billion. Investment firm called Centricus and rival company Triller have thrown their name in the mix with a $20 billion bid for TikTok. So pretty interesting. But while all this is happening, China realized we want to get in the game too. The government has now created a process where TikTok is technically an AI technology export coming from China. And so in order for them to be able to sell to a foreign entity, ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, in order for them to sell to a foreign entity, they have to get the seal of approval from the Chinese government. This is going to put a damper on things. It's going to add more bureaucracy to this process. Dustin, do you see any possibility of a deal getting done by the end of September when TikTok is supposed to be banned or sold to a U.S. company? I'm kind of on both sides of the fence here.
No, I mean, if we have this timeline at the end of September, I mean, there's no way it can happen. I mean, I do see all the parties coming in. I mean, China can make some money, the US can make some money, a couple companies can make some money, they get rich with data. I mean, there's a lot at stake here for creating a ton of opportunity for individuals as they head forward. But with the timeline that's given, I don't think it'll be done at all. But I mean, I'm surprised that China didn't wake up earlier and see what this is, the value they're sitting on. But I mean, that's what they say makes TikTok so addictive, is their AI is just so far advanced that it knows what people want. And
it's crazy, but I mean, you bring up a good point. I think that these big M&A things that are happening take very long amounts of time. I mean, just looking at the size of like the magnitude of the T-Mobile and Sprint merger, I mean, that took over 3 years to get done. There's so many other M&As out there, or mergers and acquisitions out there, that with businesses of this size, it doesn't just happen overnight. You don't get like a 4-page contract and sign it and you have it. I mean, we talked about even the data being transferred. It's going to take over a year just to transfer the data. So, I mean, this is not going to be so. And how long does it take, Dustin, if they don't get this deal done and the US actually nixes it until they do get it done? How long is it going to take before TikTok can be in the US operating in the consumer trend social media hub of the world? Because, I mean, after a few months, maybe it goes stale and we're all on Reels on Instagram now.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm thinking. I think if anything outside of this deal, I think China's realizing, oh, wow, we can make things or apps that get the American people addicted, and then boom, we can create our own export essentially, and create a whole new revenue line. But
no, it's interesting to think of it as an export.
Yeah.
Well, getting into our final story here, this is one that we were just kind of debating and wanted to bring it up. So, Spirit Halloween opens 30 locations in Arizona. Commercial real estate and retail seem to be back alive with this happening. I'm not sure the logistics around how Spirit operates, and I'm sure they have a lot of inventory, so there's not a huge amount of expense in terms of operating a business like this. But Dustin, what do you think of this story? Do you think that this proves that businesses that are doing retail can be viable, maybe if it's seasonal. What are the trends that are going to come out of this? And how do you see this working?
I mean, I see if you're a business that's seasonality and there's a huge demand during that season, yeah, I mean, operate for a month or two and make your money, but it's tough for the long term. What's crazy to me is that we have bars in Scottsdale being closed down because people aren't wearing masks and dancing around, but yet we have these stores that are open that all these little kids are going in and putting masks on their head and sneezing and coughing and rubbing their noses, and these are allowed to be open. I mean, again, it furthers who's making these decisions. It's not, I don't know. It's crazy to me that the decisions that are being made.
Such a double standard. Such a double standard.
It is.
And I wasn't even thinking about the health implications of that. That's a good point. I mean, I look at this and think, from a commercial real estate perspective, what do those leases look like? If they're able to afford getting 30 locations set up, and then the other side, there must be some kind of writing on the wall that they're going to be able to be viable with 30 locations. I mean, Arizona is not a crazy, enormous place. And a lot of these locations are in Phoenix. And a lot of these locations are within 2-3 miles of each other. So to think that all of these stores are going to be able to be profitable in a time where retail is kind of a no-no and setting up businesses, signing commercial leases is kind of a no-no, I think this goes against all of those trends, which it'll be interesting to see how they do. I'm going to be following their like financials, because I just, it could go either way. I mean, like, what do you think about like Halloween being like this kind of coming back to reality time?
I mean, that's the biggest thing that to me is the biggest gamble. I mean, I'm sure they brokered some sweet deal on the real estate side, which is why this has happened. But all that is banking on that, in the next 60 days that everyone's going to want to go out and go door to door and knock on people's doors and hand out Halloween candy. I mean, it would be horrible to sign a 3-month lease on 30 different locations and then come to realize that ADHS just says that, hey, no Halloween this year, unfortunately. And and then you got no one's going to buy costumes and whatnot.
Are people going out to trick or treat? Are we worried about being around other people? Are we worried about getting in other people's face? Are they going to open the doors and hand you stuff that they've had in their house? Like, it's just like, do we think that Halloween costumes is going to pop off this year? I think it's a risky bet, but we'll see if it pays off for him, Cotton.
I think it is, but I mean, on the other end, it's maybe this is everyone trying to reach for hope and saying this is going to be the event that everything gets back to normal and goes out and buys.
Oh, I'm rooting for him.
It would be sweet.
I'm rooting for him. It'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. Looking back at the stories, Dustin, I mean, some interesting stuff. I'm a big AI nerd and I love like Total Recall and all that stuff. So seeing this whole Tesla story and the AI that they're using and the image recognition that they already have today, that's in cars today, it's just mind-boggling to me. But I'm very fascinated by where that's trending and what'll be next.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what comes from that. My favorite story is all the business new business applications that are going out. It's a lot of good ideas that are brewing, and there's going to be a lot of lives changed with some innovation, and entrepreneurship is still alive and real, and I hope it just continues to grow. And we look back and this one thing that happened and sparks that thing again.
I'm rooting for you out there. It takes a special kind of person to outlast entrepreneurship and starting a business and staying committed. And so if you're out there and you're doing that, all the power in the world to you. If you want to help, use our resources to help spread your mission. If you're trying to create content for your new business, reach out to us. We'd love to have you create a show on NCN. And if you're listening via podcast, if you're watching via Facebook, we appreciate you guys. Tell a friend about us. We want to help everybody out there in the entrepreneurship world to stay ahead of the curve, see the trends before they come up. But again, you've been watching the Non-Corporate Network, the worldwide leader in entrepreneurship. This was Entreprenews. My name's Chaz Vandemotter.
Dustin Trout. We'll see you Wednesday.
Peace.